Yo, what's up everybody? It's Crouching Tuna here, and we're diving headfast into the chaos of the Path of Exile's Affliction Challenge League, launching this Friday. The PoE team over at Max Roll has gifted us with 6 well-rounded beasts to kickstart your journey, and trust me, you're in for a treat. Now, before we unveil these starters, let's address the elephant in the room, the Wildwood Ascendancies, and the Transfigured Gems. While these starters are solid and stable, we're expecting absolute insanity in the meta very soon. The starters we're presenting are here to give you comfy transitions into this chaos that awaits us. Stay tuned for the updates on Max Roll on our content creators' individual channels because this league is about to get wild. Now without further ado, let's dive into the 6 safest league starters for the Affliction League. Ballista Toxic Rain Pathfinder. The Ballista Toxic Rain Pathfinder is a ranger that specializes in the Pathfinder Ascendancy. It places down ballistas that shoot projectiles leaving pods of chaos damage on the floor. It is a build that is able to take on all content in the game and is very easy to scale all the way from early game into the end game. It has very decent single target and clear, but does not excel at either. It is mostly just a well-rounded build that you are able to take on all content with and have no worries whatsoever doing so. The build is of a very low complexity and doesn't need very high APM. You will mostly just be putting down your ballistas, and you'll keep your distance to enemies as your totems rain down damage, slowly killing your enemies around you. It is very good for all content, but it will primarily excel at mechanics such as Blight and Expedition. Since it is a ranger build, it is very easy to transition into any bow or poison builds into the endgame if you were to wish to reroll once you have basically finished the build. Lightning Arrow Deadeye. This build is a fast-paced elemental damage build, shooting enemies as far as your screen goes. It excels at all mapping content, however it does lack a little bit in the single target department, which thanks to having access to more than one 6-link is where Artillery Ballista the setup takes over. It is not a tanky build, however it can reach up to 95% evasion and has capped spell suppression as well as ailment avoidance. This on top of the fact that it has amazing life leech recovery as well as life gain on hit and instant leech. And of course, one of the strongest defenses of them all, killing monsters at range before they reach you. It actually feels pretty tanky and pretty evasive. The build is very simple, it does not require many buttons and has a low barrier to entry in terms of item and requirements to make it pop. However, it can get pretty expensive in the end game as some of the very high end items are pretty in demand. It is amazing at speed farming content such as legions, and any sort of mapping content that requires you to go fast. Speed farming altars or any of the sort is just going to be a breeze on this build, and it is why it is my favorite build to league start. Into the late game you can transition into Tornado Shot, which is one of the most beloved builds in Path of Exile. However, since you are a ranger, you can basically play any ranger builds, be it poison or just anything you want on the Pathfinder as well. You can check out both my Tornado Shot as well as Lightning Arrow endgame build guides as they will take you further than what the league starter does, and get into the end game. The Boneshatter Juggernaut or Slayer. So when it comes to melee builds, this is hands down the best league starter out there. It is a very fast-paced build that uses Leap Slam to jump quickly from pack to pack, to follow up with an attack that stuns enemies in an area and lets off a massive AoE strike which blows them up. It excels at map clear over single target, but thanks to its defenses, it is able to face tank bosses and take them down with ease. The playstyle is more involved than most other builds. As you are a melee build, you need to jump into range and target your enemies to play it efficiently. But thanks to additional strikes, targeting, it will auto-aim monsters within a radius of your character, making the experience much smoother than you expect. It is amazing at all mapping content and mechanics, but will have a little bit of a harder time taking on pinnacle bosses, but as we previously mentioned, thanks to its defenses, its recovery, and all that good stuff, it will allow you to outlast most of your foes. Now, due to the fact that you are a Slayer or a Juggernaut, this is a great build that you can transition from if you wish to play any other melee build, such as potentially Accuracy Stacker or some of the new cool gems that have been shown this league. Hexblast Saboteur. Miners in Path of Exile throw devices which when detonated unleash spells which auto-target enemies within range. The Hexblast Miner uses this to its advantage to let off massive AoE damage without the need for individual monsters to be targeted. The Detonate Mine action key can be bound to your move key, allowing you to detonate your mines automatically as you're moving around, making the experience akin to an auto-aim caster. This build has really good clear, but primarily excels at blowing up tanky targets, making it the best build on this list if you wish to take on bosses. It has access to a great variety of defenses, and it uses range, mobility, and its very high damage to its advantage. In addition, the ability to throw your mines way ahead of you and the auto-targeting makes sure that any monsters entering your vicinity are deleted. It is a very solid mapper, but if you wanted to focus on mechanics like Sanctum and bosses, this is where it really excels. There are a few items that really make this build pop, but if you wish to know more, I highly recommend you look through our guide on Max Roll for more information. Summon Raging Spirit's Guardian. This one's for the minion enjoyers out there. The SRS Guardian summons homing skulls that deal massive damage to anything that come near them. It has access to good mobility thanks to shield charge and is a well-rounded character able to take on all content in the game. It has a great deal of defenses too in the form of ailment avoidance, high regeneration, spell suppression, and much more. All of these in combinations with the auto-targeting and high damage of SRS spell makes the build feel great for mapping and bossing. The playstyle is pretty simple. It does not have high APM requirements, however, it plays much like a self-cast build, in that you will need to press SRS very often as they disappear after a few seconds. It is great for taking on all content requiring higher single target requirements such as Sanctum, bosses, but it also is very capable of mapping, which is why it is one of the most played skills currently in the meta. Additionally, the Templar Ascendancy is great going into the endgame, as if you wish to reroll into any critical strike spellcaster, the Inquisitor Ascendancy is one of the best for that. So if later on down the line you wish to reroll to something else, you can do that on the Inquisitor. Detonate Dead Elementalist. The Detonate Dead Elementalist is a build which uses desecrated corpses as its means to unleash massive damage explosions, which inflict long-lasting proliferating ignites onto enemies in their range. The playstyle involves pressing the Desecrate spell to summon a pile of corpses to then follow it up with the Detonate Dead spell to blow them all up. This means you will be pressing 2 buttons to deal damage, however, Ignite has the benefit of having a long-lasting duration and has the means to refresh that duration through curse application, allowing you to focus more on dodging boss abilities rather than spamming your spells. This build is one of the strongest starters and it is one of the favorite choices of many hardcore players, as it is carried by its massive base damage provided by corpses, allowing it to focus more on itemizing for its defenses rather than damage. It is a very well-rounded build that is able to take on mapping as well as bossing content, but it really excels at mechanics where monsters spawn in close vicinity of each other, as ignite proliferation spreads from monster to monster, creating a chain reaction of damage over time goodness. Such mechanics might be Blight, Expedition, or farming altars. If you are an ignite build enjoyer, then look no further, as this is one of the best in the current meta, and it will be a great stepping stone for any Elementalist build you might wish to play later on down the line. Affliction is upon us, and our team is super excited for the days ahead. We are certain that any of these builds will set you up for a great time. You can find a written guide for each of these builds in the video description. Print those divines and enjoy your time in Raid class. Stay safe, Exile, and I hope you enjoyed the video.